Welcome to this August forecast. So glad that you could join here on Substack. Blessings and greetings to you all. Anybody new here to a connection with me, thank you so much for being here. My name is Helen, and I've been working with the I Ching personally and professionally for over a decade now. So I'm really passionate about sharing this information and the wisdom that is present in this ancient system. Okay, so let me start actually by showing you some imagery just to give you an idea of what we're going to be working with later. And hi there, Martin. Thank you so much for joining. Welcome. Okay, there we go. All right, so if you're new to the I Ching, that's absolutely fine. What I'm sharing with you here are 8 trigrams, and in the center is our feng shui point. And this feng shui point, you might know that symbol. It's known as the perfect balance, also sometimes called Tai Chi. And these lines, either open or broken or closed lines. The one is yin, that's passive, receptive. It's connecting more to the feminine qualities, whereas the closed lines are yang and they're reflecting the masculine. Obviously, we're not talking about male, female gender, but it's the qualities of masculine. So we all have both. So these individual combinations of yin yang lines in the 3 formats, they connect to a certain vibration which has been interpreted as specific elements. So we've got wind, water, thunder, earth, mountain, fire, lake, heaven, or sky. And these are the 8 fundamental universal principles. Now, when we combine the one with the other, we get a hexagram. And now this takes the story even further. And the I Ching, which is entitled The Book of Changes. Here's one of my books. Usually when you work quite deeply with a system like the I Ching, you have a few different interpretations. You will see those symbols all the way around here. So this is comprised of 64 hexagrams, just like DNA strands. And these 64 hexagrams, remember, each is comprising of 2 trigrams. It can be the same or it can be a combination with others, are talking to a particular theme. And this theme then is relevant to why we are approaching the I Ching at this time. So the reason that I approached the I Ching a few days ago was for August, asking for guidance for all of us. So the guidance that I'm going to be sharing with you and the hexagram information is collective as well as personal. So we can look at what's happening very much in the collective when we receive guidance like this. And perhaps we notice how apt it is in a certain social setting or on the world stage somewhere. So think about that as well when we go into connecting with the information. And then there is the personal part. And of course, that can be where it gets rather fun and exciting for us individually. And this is where the participation comes in. So this system, yes, it's got its rules, if we can say, the universal rules, like the trigrams that we looked at. They've got certain guidelines. They're not rules that you have to follow. They're rules with certain effects. So we can choose. Of course, the choice is always ours. Am I going to be in flow with that? Am I going to create harmony in that experience with that vibration and therefore support that frequency unfolding? Everything is a vibration at the end of the day, whether it's in a relationship, whether it's emotions or any situation. Or, of course, the choice is not. And even not making a choice is making a choice. So when we are now presented with a teaching and a transmission in relation to a particular time, you could also approach the I Ching in relation to a particular issue. And you respond to it in the same participatory manner. And that means a few things. The first is to approach it and be with it in a place of trust. This has come down through thousands of years. This is a coding system, a binary coding system that is found in our human body. It's found in our devices. The 0 and 1 binary code system, that is yin and yang, broken down into a very simple form, and yet it is so complex. All the systems of flow, whether they seem to be flowing or not around us, are connected in some way, shape, or form to this universal system, even further afield. So the cosmic design, and that's reflected as well in the I Ching. So the layers there are immense. And it's also up to us how deep we go with that. So again, going back to that participatory experience, what does that mean? It means we need to really trust this process, trust this design, even if we don't understand it, that's okay. And then to be guided by your heart, your intuitive self, your all-knowing self. You will know when something is talking to you. And sometimes it feels, oh, good. And sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it can be a trigger. And that's also a message. Some of the information won't resonate at all. And that's okay. So you see what is talking to you, and then you work with that. And I will give you some prompts along the way of what to think about and what to consider. And then from there, it will continue unfolding in its own natural way, because this is stimulating an awareness which we all have within us. And it's helping us to remember really our own wisdom and to be able to hear or maybe acknowledge that little voice that we know is talking to us. And how many times I've been in transmissions where that's happened and somebody has said, oh, that came up for me yesterday and now this is the confirmation. So maybe that happens for you. Maybe only one thing is going to talk to you. Maybe all of it's going to talk to you. So let's go in with no expectations, trusting and listening to our inner guidance. You might want to have a pen and paper if you want to take notes of what comes through for you. And we're just going to take a minute to arrive. Let's allow the self to quieten and to become present. In this time of preparation, is so beneficial. So please do what you need to just relax the body. Start to connect with the breath. Breathing slowly in and out. Grounding the body down. Relaxing. Quietening the mind. And breathing in trust. Connect now into your heart center. Place your hands over there if you like. Just take a moment to feel this part of you, this all-knowing part, this wise self. And let's set an intention together now. You can repeat with me or simply affirm at the end. I trust the wisdom I am receiving from this ancient teaching, along with my own inner guidance, is aligned with my highest good and for the greater good of all. Please affirm with I trust. Breathe into your heart, exhale, and release any and all expectations. Notice the first responses that come through for you as we start to dip into the elements that have shown up. And we are first dipping our toes into the lake. So you see this yang line, the solid line with another solid line and an open broken line at the top. That is the lake. That is the top of this hexagram that we're dealing with. A lake holds energy of beauty, of connection with others, with life. There's always so much life around a lake. It connects to harmony. So just think about what a lake means to you and what comes up as you connect with the energy of a lake. And then we move over to this trigram on the other side, which starts with an open line, a yin line, and it's got yang, yang above that. And that's wind. Wind is all about being flexible. It's about change. It's about adapting. It's about gentle movements. So what speaks to you when you connect with the wind? And you're not looking for the right answer. It's simply what is coming from your subconscious up into your conscious awareness now. It might make sense directly to the lake or to wind, or it might not. Okay, so now we're going to take this a bit further and we're going to put the two together into their hexagram form to see what this now looks like. And the way that we build a hexagram is from the bottom up. So at the bottom, we have the wind, which is an open line. And then we've got those two closed lines. And then above that, we've got the lake, two yang lines, and a yin line above that. So just take a moment to look at that imagery. See if anything stands out for you. Remember, it doesn't have to make sense. And this is the participation part where your intuitive self is talking to you. And even if you feel like it's not happening, just keep relaxed and open because there is a conversation that is starting to take place. So we looked at these elements now individually, but now we want to look at them together. And together, when we look at it from the yin yang perspective, we see that this open line is repeated again at the top. So we've got bottom and top, which could represent a roof of a house where you've got stability in the center, but the outer edges are starting to change. That yin, that feminine frequency is coming in from underneath and from above. It can also be reflecting a raft with the same idea that the outer edges of the raft are, you might like to think of it as weaker, or perhaps they are crumbling. And think about that. If you're on a raft or even under a roof where a certain section is stable, but there are other places where it's not stable, are you going to feel stable there? Probably not. So looking at this perspective, there is the guidance that there are certain structures that are busy changing. We can see that in certain larger areas of life. And this could be in social systems that it's seen, but now also take it into your own life and think about anywhere where there is a belief, perhaps, or some system that just isn't working anymore. What needs to change? Perhaps what is already changing? So hold that awareness there. We're going to consider another perspective going back to the elements of wind below the lake. So imagine this big body of water and wind, which is representing air. Imagine this wind that is caught like an air bubble beneath this large body of water. That can be felt as pressure. So we've got this pressure that's building up. Where in life are you feeling a pressure? Maybe it's coming, or maybe it's been there for a while. But now is the time to look at those pressure points. Those points, those places where change is necessary. So it's not about, if we go back to the perspective of the roof or the raft, it's not about, oh, I need to go and fix that. What the situation is actually asking for is something new. Perhaps a new way of thinking. Perhaps new patterns of behavior, perhaps new choices. But with all of this, with all of those examples that we had, the roof, the raft, the air pressure below the water, in all of those circumstances, if we are right in that situation, it's not about wiping that situation out and bringing in something new. We need to move with care. So when we're changing this roof structure or we're bringing in and creating something new in a space where there was and still is something, we need to do that with kindness and care. Because, of course, there are other people involved, even if they're not in a particular situation directly. You might be thinking of something where it's just you and you, but nevertheless, we are still part of a collective. And even if we're making new choices for the self, that will over time fold out. So moving with great caution, great carefulness, and this has been a themed message through each and every single monthly transmission this year, is just patience, be slow and gentle with changes, and remain grounded. It's okay to move slowly and carefully. So the title of this hexagram, which is hexagram number 28, is called Exceeding Greatness. And it's actually asking for us at this time, do not exceed greatness. In other words, it might feel like in certain circumstances that so much change has happened. Um, Perhaps you've done the inner work, or perhaps there is something external that's changing structurally, and it appears like it is nearly done. And now we just want to jump in that raft and go down the river, enjoy the lake. And yet we are asked to just hang on. That time will come. But right now, just still keep your patience with you. Still keep moving slowly and carefully. So I'm going to read you some commentary directly from the I Ching, the Book of Changes. This trigram here represents a solitary tree with the water rising above it, symbolizing solitude and renunciation. This is the recommended course during such times. The hexagram has 2 weak outer lines and 4 strong inner lines and resembles a roof with a strong center but weak edges. The center is in danger of falling. This signifies caution and the need for change. Assessing how you should go about this undertaking is an important prior step. Taking your own nature and all other circumstances into consideration. Then, take the action you consider the most appropriate, and you will be successful. So let's pause here as you consider everything that was just shared. What are the highlights for you? What speaks to you? What is relevant in your personal life right now? And this could be any area of life. It could be in your health, your work life, spiritual, financial, even leisure, connections with others. So really think in all those different areas. What structure is changing or needs to change? Is it something within you? Something that is expressed in your life? And how have you been dealing with that change? Have you been aware of it? Have you been connecting with it from an inner awareness point of view, or have you been ignoring it and hoping for the best? Just observe yourself without judgment and considering this guidance of the new is necessary because this old roof, it's not stable anymore. Old raft isn't stable. And if we do ignore it or hope somebody else will fix it, that pressure underneath the leg, it's going to become too much at one point. So even if you feel like you don't know what to do, the guidance here, which spoke of solitude, being quiet, going within, asking to be guided with the trust that you have this wisdom. This is the time that this is so greatly supported because the new is here. It's not even waiting to come in anymore. It's here. You might already feel that and know that. So relaxing into this time of change and also allowing the process to take place, not trying to force it or stop it or resist it. Let's see if we can be with it. And where you do need to guide certain things, do so from a place of knowing. So from a heart space, from a place of trust. In other words, not from a reactionary place, from a place of your wisdom, which you do have in each and every single cell and particle of your being. So what is the overarching message for you? What is your takeaway? If you were to sum this up in one word or a few words, what would it be? And perhaps write that down to remind yourself a few times throughout this month. Because when we connect with a transmission a few days or a week or two later, we get a different awareness. So see how this unfolds for you, because it will continue to unfold in its own way. No need to try and force it. Just simply allow and trust. And when you need to return so that you can receive this teaching again in a new way, then of course it is here for you to do just that. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining this live forecast. I trust you have each received what you've needed to from this teaching from the I Ching. And I'd just like to close in giving thanks to all of you for being here, and also to this amazing system of the I Ching and all the sages who have come before us, who have created this into what it is today and made it possible for us to experience this in this way together right now. I'll be back in a month's time for the next monthly forecast. But until then, beautiful blessings, and may patience be with you in this month of August.